here I want to talk about your impressions of now the Asia Cup. For India and what it really means for India now. For me personally, I'll start off. It is basically I looked at this squad, I looked at this entire matches and the way they played, the way they played their playing 11s. For me, they treated this as what you call a warm up kind of a thing, or as an experimental a tournament in a way for the T20 World Cup to iron out their chinks. And have they been able to answer most of their questions? I think a few of them in terms of batting, in terms of Kohli, in terms of KL Rahul, maybe a Deepak Chahar. But for me, there is more. They leave Asia Cup with more questions than answers. Your take on this?
Exactly. They have left leaving this competition with more and more questions and more problems. Only Virat Kohli is the positive outcome for me from this tournament, which is the biggest outcome for India in the past 1 year. But when you talk about Rishabh Pant and his form, his place is still in scanner or jeopardy. You talk about Ravi Ashwin, even Ravi Ashwin. How come Ravi Ashwin get a chance in Asia Cup out of nowhere? He didn't had a best of IPL. He picked just 12 wickets in 17 matches. Kuldeep Yadav had a better IPL, and you just don't want to pick him. It seems like it, na? You don't want to pick Kuldeep Yadav with Yuzvendra Chahal. India still don't have a second permanent spin option here in the team. You can only pick one for the team at this moment. That is Yuzvendra Chahal. You are not giving more chances to Ravi Bishnoi. Even Akshay Patel is a substitute to Ravindra Jadeja. And now Ravindra Jadeja is almost out of the tournament. Now we have to stick with Akshay Patel now for the World Cup. So there are many problems in terms of the Rishabh Pant place, because even some reports are there that Sanju Samson might get a chance from here on. And he had a good year this time. He did convert some chances and scored some crucial runs. Maybe against small teams, we can say, but still, in T20 cricket, I still feel Sanju Samson is a better option than Rishabh Pant in T20 cricket only. Just because he can score at a healthy strike rate, which India demands in T20 cricket. And Rishabh Pant has been poor for the past 2-3 years in T20 cricket. It's just one season with Delhi, when Delhi was Delhi Daredevils. He scored a century, one-handed sixes against Bhuvneshwar Kumar, where he just rocked the cricketing world. After that, Rishabh Pant has been missing in the T20 format. So you are just giving him an extended hand that just give India some. But Rishabh Pant has an advantage here. After Jadeja's injury, India don't have much left-handed options. So Rishabh Pant has a very big and very rare advantage here to get a place in the 11, just because India don't have many left-handers. So India have many
That's a big advantage for Rishabh Pant, of course. And as you rightly mentioned, he's blowing hot and cold for the last 2 years, and that's a fact. Despite all the potential that you wanna talk about, and very valid point that you put in about Akshar Patel there. Now because Ravindra Jadeja is not there, he's your replacement, like replacement. Akshar Patel still has a long way to to reach what Jadeja is doing with the bat and with the ball, and of course on the field. Saikat, I'll put that same question to you as the final word. What is the outcome for India here? I mean, did India take this Asia Cup not that too seriously, thinking it's going to be Pakistan, their real threat, and this is somewhere they are in a way they jeopardized title here just for the larger goal of getting everything set for T20 World Cup. If that was the goal, did they find that goal, or did they even near that goal, or it was just they missed it completely? Wow, your take.
Obviously, as Rohit Sharma said in last press conferences that we have won so many matches and we have just lost these 2 matches. Please don't judge us but depending on these 2 matches. But you know what? That's what the crowd is going to do, exactly opposite. We know there are so many bilateral matches going on, but these multinational tournaments are where you are actually shows the world, that whether we can take in pressure and play under pressure or not. And for me, I don't think India is, going to the T20 World Cup with right frame of mind, because now they'll have a bilateral series. Who knows? They might win it 3-0 or 2-1, but then suddenly suddenly when you are in a multi-nation tournament, all these sort of net run rate and all that stuff comes into play, and you are certainly under a lot of pressure. So India, if you see if you see it as a as a benchmark to the T20 World Cup, then India had failed miserably here, obviously because of the poor team selection. I also believe a couple of players like DK, Ravichandran Ashwin, Akshar Patel, Deepak Chahar were not handled properly. They should have played a long ago. Akshar Patel was a like-for-like replacement. Deepak Chahar was a like-for-like replacement for Avesh Khan. Should have played a long ago. They were not handled well. Dinesh Karthik was not handled well. And obviously, in complete contrast, Rishabh Pant has completely destroyed his case to be a perfect T20 batter. We know what this guy can do, but now suddenly in this Asia Cup he showed that this guy will struggle in the middle overs. Just as I said, our top 3 is vulnerable, but similarly our 5 and 6 are also vulnerable. Where Hardik Pandya bats, where Surya Kumar Yadav bats, where Rishabh Pant bats. Doesn't matter what your top order does, but even in the middle overs, if you can't score those runs, then you'll end up scoring 160, 170 runs, which can now easily be chased by teams like Australia and even for Sri Lanka for that matter. So Rishabh Pant has really destroyed his case for, I think, if there's a biggest loser in this whole tournament, I think it's Rishabh Pant. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar has got insane figures today, but we cannot rely on Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. The way he bowled against Sri Lanka and in Pakistan, those penultimate overs, you just never know with Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. He can be whacked.
That is true. I mean, Bhuvaneshwar Kumar was never really known to be a good death bowler. I mean, if you have to optimize his use, you got to use him in the first 10 overs, bowl him out on the first 4 overs. And that is where Deepak Chahar in a way edges out Bhuvaneshwar, because he can bowl that death overs as well. At least in the CSK setup, he was able to do that. He was primarily used in the power plays, but he had that 1 or 2 overs where he could bowl in the death. That's one, aspect there. And rightly you mentioned about Rishabh Pant, that it's a case where, it's a big question mark. Actually, it's a big question mark on most of those places. Virat Kohli with 250s and 100 pretty much, has said that he is back. You will bank on a Rohit Sharma because he's a captain. KL Rahul more so, he's coming back to form. But there's question mark on every other position there. And that is what it is for India in the Asia Cup. A disappointing campaign, so to speak. 2-time defending champions out of the Super 4 stages, winning only 1 match, that too against Afghanistan. Heading into the T20 World Cup, which is the ultimate goal this year. India have 2 more games, 2 more series, in fact, which is against Australia and South Africa. But most likely, Indian T20 squad will be announced before that series starts, or it will be in the middle of the series. So that series will not have much consequence or much repercussions in terms of what the final T20 squad looks like. As both Saikat and Altough mentioned, there are more question marks for India as they end this campaign, and that is the absolute truth. What will happen? I mean, it's Indian cricket, something or the other will eventually happen.